Hi everyone, I am Lovelace. Welcome to Wisdom and Witchcraft. Today I'm here presenting a technique that I developed in preparation for a ritual with my former coven in November. And I continue to use it. It turned out to be very useful. So I use it with my monthly, at the Hecate Stipnon, I make a walk to the crossroads and I give an offering of things that I've been working through that don't no longer serve me. They're actually getting in my way and stuff. So, the technique I have is I'm going to be leading a ritual with Miracle Valley Discord server this upcoming Dark Moon on Friday the 12th of March 2021. And so, the technique that I used. So I had several, I say two, tarot decks that were the Los Scarabo ones, which are basically repurposed fantasy art for tarot cards. They're not actually formally designed. They're the ones with the little white book that everybody refers to. And so I had a lot, I guess. I wasn't going to use them because I didn't really find that, I don't really resonate when they're just, I don't resonate with pip decks. They don't work for me. Personal thing. So I was actually happy to sacrifice these things for use here. This is going to need some knowledge of tarot. You don't have to have in-depth knowledge, and you can just have a surface understanding. If you're familiar with the major arcana, then you're good. So I had what I did is I basically looked at separated out the major arcana and started there, and I looked through the cards and thought about, did this apply to me? Is there anything in it that represented something that was holding me back, that I wanted to release and offer to Hecate? And let's see. There are a few that I had that I ended up not using for the ritual. So here you go. All right. So for this one, the Magician. What I wrote on the back, I wrote down both what I was releasing and an affirmation. So the Magician is actually the card that represents, it represents having the totality of everything that you need with you. It's very much a magical card. The High Priestess is the internal, the intuitive sort of magic, more, and in the tarot it's often the feminine, and the Magician is the masculine, but or more you can go with active. The Magician is the active magic, and the High Priestess is the more passive. But so what I wrote for the Magician, and this is just to give you an idea, I released my fear that I'm not actually as skilled as I think. I am capable, experienced, and creative. I am no schmendrick, which is a reference to the last unicorn, and it's also a Yiddish word that means, somebody is kind of a fool, kind of thinks they're more than they are. And so, let me pick up a card and I will walk you through how I did this. Alright, here we go. Hermit. Great one. Personally, the Hermit for me is one of those cards that I always wince at, because I've had a fear that I've been struggling with. A fear of being alone. Abandonment, and just, I have spent too much of my life focusing on other people and my relationships to them, and putting my value and worth, and this is something I've been working through recently, my value and worth, wrapping them up in how I am in relation to other people. Am I helpful? Am I somebody that they want around? Am I somebody that they care about? And, you know, instead, and also just having a fear of not having people around, of being in silence, of I think of being alone, and I think of being in like this dark cave where it's just me, and it's like I can hear the wind whooshing. It's completely empty and scary, and I'm yeah. So, but some stuff has happened in my life recently where I've realized I actually do need to take the time and be comfortable with being alone. Last year I was supposed to be taking, actually last year I meant to, after coming out of a bad relationship and that ended poorly, and really triggered almost all of my abandonment fears and issues there, and I was going to take 2020 to figure out who I was on my own without a relationship, without somebody else. And instead, I'd actually, in November 2019, I met who became my now former partner, Tiger. Wonderful person, and I'm very so glad I met him. And the time I spent with him was actually in many ways very healing. There was a lot of things that I had been left with from the previous relationship and before that, and also from other trauma where I didn't feel like I was enough. I didn't feel like anybody would want just me. I didn't feel like, I also didn't feel like, I mean, okay, I'm on the weirder side. I'll just admit it right up front. I'm on the weirder side of stuff with the whole witchcraft. I deal with things that most people tend to think are flat out crazy, but I've seen them so much. I'm like, at this point, it can't be a coincidence. It can't be, you know, I don't have other explanations. And also, I describe myself as having a high barrier to entry because I'm plural. I'm diagnosed with what's now was formerly dissociative identity disorder, not otherwise specified, or now OSDD. I don't actually have most of the negatives associated with that. I don't lose time. I can my headmates and I are able to speak with each other entirely fluidly and clearly. It's any memories. We don't have memory loss. Our psychiatrist was actually reluctant to diagnose because she was feeling that it was possibly a pathologization of something that for myself, my headmates, is healthy and normal and actually beneficial because we work together, and whoever, if I don't have experience with something, or I'm going to have panics and breakdowns trying to do it, and somebody else can do it without, then they all take the front and they will actually do it. Our psychiatrist has been working with us for a decade. She is originally from India, born and raised there. She got her degree there, started her career in psychiatry there, and has some amount of experience. And the way that they approach things is different. They actually do believe that they do work with some amount of belief of that what we in the West see as psychiatric disorders can actually be natural and normal, and that the problem can be how society treats those, and how society marginalizes people with them so they don't get the help where they need. Anyways, she's commented that for us, we absolutely under no circumstances should seek integration therapy or anything like that, because for us, that's the way she put it, we obviously have a foundation and internal mental structure that's meant to support that kind of collective. We don't care for the term system. It's a bit too gives the impression of mechanical rather than people who are working together, and so we are a collective of spirits who share the body as a interface to this world. And so that's one reason one reason, among many, why I have a high barrier to entry, because not many people are actually very, I mean, where I live in Olympia, Washington, which I describe as Washington State well-kept secret answer to Berkeley, California, where I can pretty much assume that anybody in the queer community here is familiar with that. But anyway, I'm off getting, I'm getting off topic. I'm tangent queen. Anyway, I have a high barrier to entry, and so I was not expecting to come across somebody who would actually have met me, Aylin, rather than my headmate Nani, who is the one of us, our original physical incarnate. She was born into the body and retired after Trump was elected, because it was just the last straw. She did 30 years of trauma, and then that was it. And I decided I agreed to take that role. And I'm now Aylin. I'm now the one who is the primary. And but because of that, most of my when I have full access to the body memories and what happened to Nani. The way we work is anything that occurs within the physical body is shared memory and accessible by all. And so when I was I can access those memories, but what comes to me first is my memories from elsewhere, my life, more on the what I'll call the spirit realm, or sometimes referred to as elsewhere in the multiverse. And so you can't be part of my life and not be very, very involved in the witchy. You can't be very involved in the spirit. You can't. And somebody who doesn't believe in any of that's not going to work. And I kind of never expected to meet somebody, and instead I met someone that was actually quite a bit, who met me, and who turned out to actually share a very substantial past life, a history of past lives with me. And so we ended up forming a relationship, probably what most would say was too soon after I got out of a 5-year engagement that ended very poorly and was incredibly hurtful. But I ended up not taking 2020 for myself. I ended up ending up doing 2020 in a relationship that also, I got some cards, and that was very healing. But I fell into some of my old patterns, and that pattern being that of subsuming my own identity for what I believe somebody else wanted with me, which, because my former household pretty much demanded that, was, well, not expected that I was going to effectively be just like, my other headmates, and that really didn't work out. So I fell into the pattern of trying to be who I thought that my partner wanted me to be, and not being who I am, not being true to myself. And so 2021, I am taking this year for myself. I'm not getting involved in new relationships, and I'm going to be alone. And it's kind of weird, because I actually, for the first time in my life, I find myself being somewhat looking forward to it just being me, not having to worry about anybody else, and just being able to explore who I am and what I want, which is part of why I'm doing this, because one of the things I wanted to do is figure out how to turn my, so much of my life is involved around the witchy and spiritual, and how I can actually do that. And I found, after joining witchcraft discords over summer of 2020, because, well, hello, quarantine, I didn't really have a lot of options locally, like everybody else. So, but anyway, the Hermit. So I go into all that. That's the sort of thing I will think about. So how would I put this for this exercise? I would put an affirmation, or rather, I would put what I'm releasing, and then an affirmation. So I'm going to write, I release my fear of being alone. And let's see, how do I want to put that as an affirmation? Well, actually, to thine own self be true. We'll just go with that. To thine own self be true. So, that's front of the card. And here's the back, which probably slips so you can't read it. Tight. Anyway, I went through a lot of the major arcana, and I didn't actually ever get to the minors, really, because most of the major arcana covers so many things. Let me go over a few, because, you know, I'm not going to walk through every card in the majors, but if you know tarot meanings, or if you don't, what you can do is you can go online, tarot, trustedtarot.com, or you can go to Biddy, B-I-D-D-Y, tarot.com, and both of those are excellent resources for the card meanings. And you can look up what the cards mean, and you can then work with this. If you, I'll put links down in the description. You can also, you can print out cards if you don't, because I'm sure most of you don't have a spare tarot deck lying around like this. I mean, I ended up having missing cards from these, which is why I thought, hey, I just hadn't gotten around to throwing them out, but I wasn't going to be able to use them again with the cards missing, plus I didn't really find they worked. The other thing, you can print out tarot cards. Witch of Wonderlust has a resource with several links to websites where you can print out your own tarot cards for free with your printer. And I'll put that link down in the description as well. And you print those, and nice thing about printing them, printed on paper, you can burn it. So how, what I would end up doing with regards to the ritual is I would use these, and I would use them as representations of what I was giving to Hecate, because I release this in, affirmation, and these things, this does no longer serve me. Hecate, Claudicos, keeper of the keys. Take this from me. Take these. Take my burdens. Take my, because Hecate is more than God. Hecate, I call the shadow work goddess. One of many, but I find my relationship with her is such. I find, is one of those who's very, very insistent that you work on yourself, and you work on the healing of your mind and soul. She's not a goddess that you work with if you don't actually want to work on who you are and become better. If you don't want to be able to lay down the things that hold you back and then continue forward into the future. She's a very, very patient, loving goddess. The ritual where I did this exercise for, the ritual of release with the Keeping Her Keys coven, that's led by Cindy Brannon. I am no longer with them, but they're excellent people. And if you are actually curious about a Hecatean coven online, I do highly encourage anybody to at least, they do have a membership fee of $10 a month for the, technically I think they're calling it the Covina Institute now, because she does a lot of teaching through the coven and the website, and it makes it a little bit more accessible to some people who are not comfortable with covens. I would be one of those who I've said, as soon as you call it a coven, you invite drama. That's been my experience with covens for the most part. There were some communication issues that led up to my leaving the Keeping Her Keys, so Kavina Institute, but I do highly recommend it for folks. You can try it you can try a month trial free. It's like I was put off by the I was put off at first by the fee, but when I realized how many people were actually there and that it was then what they offer, I do suggest that if you want to learn more about Hecate, you might want to consider joining, looking at for a month and watching through the videos and reading through the content, because there's a ton of information and they're constantly adding new course material and videos and workshops and that's in addition to the live rituals and such they have. But it was, I figured, you know what, if I'm paying $10 a month to have access to witchy books unscribed, or if I'm paying $10 a month for Netflix, whatever, then I think I can pay $10 a month for my spiritual education, and I can pay $10 a month for to help support the operating costs, because they do have to pay for have to pay for servers, they have to pay for the platform that they use, they have to pay for their supplies for rituals, and so I do encourage it. So you can keepingherkeys.com, you can check it out there. Anyway, that was for that ritual with them. Was the ritual release is one of their main. They do 3 big rituals. One in November, the ritual release. February is, I think, the ritual of the soul retrieval ritual, and then there's the ritual of rebirth in May. But for the ritual of release, I ended up having an experience with Hecate where I was giving up. I sort of tried to give up the wrong thing and kind of got told, no, you don't give this up, you need this. No, you're not giving me the right thing. You cannot sacrifice your own heart for your heart's desire, to reference Bujold. What she says told me flat out, is no. What's holding on to you, what you're holding back to, is your fear. The fear that you keep with you as a constant companion and have for pretty much all of your lives, going back to the beginning of this freaking multiverse. And I'm like, oh. She said, if you're going to give me something, you want to give me an offering? Fine. Then give me your fear. That is the only offering I will take from you tonight. So I gave her my fear, and I had this experience in, it was a spirit journey that was led by Cindy Brandon for that. And the rich experience I had was Hecate pulling a fear demon, almost. It was like a full miasma and fear, just pulling it forth for me. That was really, really something. But the that's why the reason I mention this because so I always would for years I would have panic attacks while I'm going to bed. I would lay awake in paralyzing terror for hours. I wouldn't be able to sleep, and except for I've had one night, and that was because I realized I wasn't having a panic attack, and I ended up psyching myself and giving myself, I was wait, where's the panic attack? Where's the panic attack? Oh, there it is. And so, but I've had that paralyzing terror that's kept me from sleep for years. It was gone, just completely gone. And that experience really was very powerful. And so something that I've done since then is at Hecate's Diapnon, I'll take a walk about 2 blocks, not 2 blocks, but it's actually about half a block to the crossroads that's by the river. And it's a nice 3-way crossroads in the woods right off the road. It's easy to see. It's great. I'll probably post a video of it sometime. I'll go down there and I will bring an offering. I'll also bring something like, I'll bring a bit of so historically when for Hecate's Diapnon, they would bring a feast, and they would bring you'd have a whole they would bring that down to the crossroads, and that was actually historically often eaten by the poor. It was also eaten by wild animals, most and considering that wild dogs, Hecate's hounds, that's her whole thing. wonderful things. I actually will go through what I got in the fridge, and I will take something that's suitable to be left out, that's safe for animals, because the crossroads is right off in the woods. And I'll take that down there and leave it for the animals at the crossroads, because I know they're going to be the ones that eat it. To make sure it's safe for them. You know, check out what's safe for cats and dogs to eat, and get an idea from that. Anyway, which for those who will be coming to my ritual on Friday the 12th, I am going to make a walk to the crossroads either before or after the ritual. And I will be taking additional offerings for those who do not have a crossroads near them, and if you don't have a crossroads near, it's not required. You don't have to go and put it out. No, you can give an offering at home, and if you want to give the offering of the tarot, print out tarot card with what you're releasing and your affirmation written on it, and burn that's perfectly fine. But if you also would like me to take something to the crossroads for you, I will happily do so. I don't mind. I'm going there anyway. So please, if you're going to my ritual, then you know how to contact me. Please send me a direct message on Discord, and I look forward to it, and I will hope to see people there. And for those who stumble across my channel on YouTube, because I am actually getting around this year to doing the whole YouTube channel that I wanted to for a while, where I will go on about witchy topics, and I will, I've got a whole freaking list here. I'm probably going to do I've got stuff like a Witchcraft 101 series planned. I've got a Deity Work 101 series planned. I've got 2 courses I'm teaching through Raven Academy at Discord server. I will put a link down for the servers for folks who are interested. I will be teaching. I ended up putting off. I was going to start the course in January, and then I had to just delay it till February because of life events. And then I ended up after there were some deaths and other very personal disasters at the end of January and beginning of February, I decided to delay it. I will be teaching that beginning in probably April instead. But I had been considering of doing some of the content that I'll be covering in the course as YouTube videos, so that they are more accessible to folks, not just on the server. And so I'm going to be doing some basics. What you need to have for protection before you start any sort of deity work. Also, I'm going to be doing a beginner-friendly course, beginner-friendly series in deity work. I'm going to cover your things like what is deity work versus worship or honoring deities. Why might you want to do deity work? I'm going to also be covering how do you discernment? How do you know they're who they say they are? And I'm going to be going through methods of determining whether or not whether or not they're telling the truth. Which most people, you'll hear divination is thought for that, but it's not your only option. It's a great tool. It's a wonderful tool. Don't get me wrong. I've had people hear me talk and think that I was dissing divination as a tool, and I'm not at all. I do use it sometimes for that myself, but a lot of people use that as their only tool, and they don't know of any others, and that's a concern for me as somebody who has been a spirit worker. Technically, I started in spirit. Because Nani started first. Nani had been a spirit worker technically probably since she was in single digits. One of her first sentences was asking Mom where the angels had gone, the ones that had been guarding her, and that had been by her bed. And we started out in spirit work before witchcraft. Witchcraft became to a bit later, and even then so that would be probably, we started, I'd say, working active magic and energy about age 11. So that would be sometime this year, just shy of 20, it's 24 years. So that's active practice. It's been a constant in our lives. So you've got a fair bit of experience, and I have a personal belief in sharing knowledge and in teaching. And I have an approach that does, I see a lot of people want to very much protect beginners, and I think that it can sometimes be, the problem is you can't protect people from themselves, and you just can't. And people are going to do the things they want to anyway. Abstinence only education doesn't just not work when coming to sex education. Abstinence only doesn't work with anything. Somebody's going to if they want to do it, they're going to do it. So I believe in giving the tools to be able to do it safely. I might still say you probably shouldn't do this until you've had XYZ amount of time experience, until you know these things. But they're still going to do it. So I can say, hey, I can talk myself blue in the face, but that's not actually going to have all that much of an impact. So I try to give the tools and say, okay, if you're going to do it, I think you should wait, but if you're going to do it, then do this. And I'm going to be covering, this is what I'm covering, coming to this channel with this, and I'll be continuing to do that. And I will be trying to get up a video a week. We'll see if that happens, because it's been like nonstop crises. A friend of mine started saying "Merry Crisis" yesterday, because we started parodying Christmas carols into crisis carols, because we should really totally do the 12 days of crisis, because I think it's been 12 days straight of crises. So I'm going to do my best to have a video up each week, but it might be a little bit late. So if you are interested in seeing more videos from me, please go down and hit subscribe. And I will, for folks who are watching this from Marigold Valley, hello, love you. I will see you on the server, and I will hopefully see you for our ritual on Friday the 12th. If you're wondering where that is on the server, scroll down to the bottom, go to the clubs. You will need to go, actually you'll need to go to the roles, go to the roles channel, and under there you're going to look for Asphodel Meadows club. Under the clubs, you're going to click the role reaction for Asphodel Meadows, and then at the bottom of the channel list, it'll be at the very bottom of the clubs. I'll be doing that over Google Meet, so that I can take advantage of some of the benefits of that, such as automatic captioning, so that folks with auditory processing disorders and other difficulty, and are hard of hearing or deaf, can also join the ritual and hear the round table discussion afterwards, and participate and hear everybody and see what's being said, because I very much believe in accessibility. Also, as somebody who has auditory processing issues themselves, it's useful for me as well. So, thank you, everybody. I hope this has been of use to you, and I am looking forward to seeing you all on Friday the 12th for our Dark Moon Ritual. Take care, everybody, and see you next time.